my microphone, didn't I? I apologize. Sorry, there it is. Anyway, good evening, friends, and welcome to our nightly meditation practice. As I do each night, we'll begin by paying homage to the Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Again, thank you, friends, for joining me tonight, and I appreciate you joining me and sitting with me for a little while and listen to me ramble maybe a little bit about the Dharma. I wanted to share with you tonight just a couple of thoughts. So I've been taking a course on Buddhist ethics through the Buddha Dharma University, as I'm sure some of you may remember me talking about in the past. And the first half of the course was on a book by the Dalai Lama on secular ethics. And I didn't like the book. And it really turned me off from the course. And I was contemplating dropping the course because I wasn't getting anything out of it. And, I spend time and energy on reading the material and answering the Quizlets that they have each week and that kind of stuff. And I wasn't being edified by this particular book, and it wasn't applicable to, I think, my stage and what I was trying to develop as a practitioner of Zen and a devotee to the Buddha Dharma. So I was really on the precipice of dropping the course when I thought, you know what? One of the last things that the Dalai Lama teaches in his course is that there is an inherent need for self-discipline in our development of ethics, and I couldn't deny that. I do agree with that. It takes self-discipline to try to have a daily meditative practice, and it takes self-discipline to want to persevere and complete this course, even when I didn't think I was getting anything out of it. And then, oddly enough, I finished that book and moved on to the next book in the series that's part of this class. And I really enjoyed it. And so far, I read the first couple of chapters, and I really enjoy it. I think it's an excellent book. And it's really turned my mentality around as to the value that I think I can get out of this course. So if I can just real quickly pull this book up, I want to share it with you just real quickly if I can. I don't want to pull it up on my Kindle. It won't look the same. Bear with me just a minute. It's going to pop up here in just a second. I say it is. here we go. Wherever I just lost it. Okay, let me share this with you. Thanks for tolerating my unpreparedness here. But so this is the book here, The Mind of Clover by Robert Aitken. And you see the subtitle there is Essays in Zen Buddhist Ethics. And this book was what I was looking for from the very beginning. That to me, Buddhist ethics are ethics intended for us Buddhist practitioners and us Buddhist believers. And I just want to start with Robert Aitken died, I don't know, a dozen years ago or so, but he was a pretty famous American Zen practitioner from Hawaii. Um, and he wrote a number of good books. But if you look here, these are the ethics that I thought we were going to be talking about throughout this whole course that I've been taking. The precepts: not killing, not stealing, not misusing sex, not lying, not giving or taking drugs, not discussing the faults of others, not praising yourself while abusing others, etc. You see them listed on here. And this is what I was looking for. This is what I thought my course was going to be about. And now I'm glad I stuck with it, because I can't tell you I was this close to dropping the course. I just wasn't enjoying it. I was thoroughly involved in and enjoying, as you know from last night, I was reading to you, I was thoroughly enjoying the teachings of Huang Po and that course. I thought the instructor in that course was doing a great job of either doing video or audio lessons each week to discuss the text and kind of give you a primer on it, so you knew what it was you were going into when you were reading it. And I really enjoyed that. But the Buddhist ethics course, to me, starting off with the Dalai Lama's secular ethics book, was just not doing it for me. And I was on the precipice of just saying, screw this, I'm not taking this class anymore. I'm not wasting my time on it. And now I'm reading a book that I really enjoy, that I agree with, and not that I disagreed with the Dalai Lama's premise. I disagreed with whom he stated his audience was for and how he thought it would be successful. So I, looking at it perhaps overly intellectual. If I'm really studying and learning from Huang Po, then I probably should have stopped intellectualizing it, stopped with my conceptualized thought, and just read it and moved on. I'm not quite that enlightened yet, so I'm sorry, Huang Po, I was not able to do that with the Dalai Lama book. But I really like the Robert Aitken book so far. And I went into the Robert Aitken book thinking, I might not like this guy so much. He's far more, he's passed away now, but he's far more of a socialist, liberal activist than I am. I try not to mix my politics with my religion, so to speak. And in that regard, I think I look at things much more like Huang Po did, or Bodhidharma, or whatever, who recognized that politics were part of the world we live in, but not something that we have to pursue ourselves. And Robert Aitken really was a staunch socialist, very far left liberalist in America. And as I guess most Buddhists are, who look at things in establishing a Buddhist community and perhaps a Buddhist ethical community. But rather like the historical Shakyamuni Buddha, who lived and just, he would teach the people where they were, teach the leaders where they were, but not compel them, of course, to believe the same way he did. And I kind of fall into that same category of not wishing to compel anyone to believe the way I do. And if you want my opinion, I'll be happy to share it with you. Um, so, anyway, I guess my report to you guys tonight is that's a really good book by Robert Aitken, and it's what I was looking for in this Buddhist ethics class. And I now think I can finish the course and enjoy it and get something out of it. And I will continue to think critically about how I dealt with the Dalai Lama's book on secular ethics. Maybe it just needs more time to contemplate, but I've been contemplating it for about 5 weeks of reading it, and not a fan. So anyway, what else is new? Today, eBay delivered to me my new moktak. I've had a Vietnamese style frog, maybe Chinese or Vietnamese style, but a moktak is the Korean style, used for chanting in the Korean tradition. This one's pretty big. I don't like the backside. You see how dirty that wood looks? But the front side, or I call it the front side, looks quite nice. And the mallet. So anyway, pieces of woods are imperfect, obviously, as human beings are imperfect. So I'm not so worried about that. It makes a pretty good sound. Will be good for chanting with my Zen organization. And I'm pretty happy with it. So it was bigger than I thought it might have been. I'll show you guys the prettier side there. It was bigger than I thought it might have been. And I'm happy with the sound. And I'm excited to use it. So one of the things I wanted to do tonight for meditative practice is listen, as I've done in the past, to this Korean monk who does different chanting. And this chanting that he does to Guanyin, and it's a chanting that is very similar to the it's very similar to the Jijang Bosal chanting that we do. The tune and the rhythm is very similar, but in Korean, Guanyin is Kwansaeum Bosal, and so you'll hear him chanting that if you haven't heard this before. Anyway, I wanted to listen to that maybe twice for some meditative practice tonight, and to tune my ear better to how he uses the moktak. And so that perhaps in the future, when I'm using the moktak and leading chanting with my Zen organization, I'll be better skilled at it. So that's my plan for the night. As I mentioned to you last night, Huang Po still has me a little bit struggling with this bodhisattva ideal. But he uses it as an expedient method of seeking complete enlightenment. So I'm going to stick with it for a while as I continue to contemplate on how much of these skillful, expedient methods that he talks about are still highly instructive to me. And maybe when they lose their instructiveness, I can be as clear-minded and non-discriminatory as Huang Po is or was. But right now I'm not. And so some of these skillful means are still helpful to me. So having said that, let's go to some Kwanseum Bosal chanting. I might play this twice, and then we'll see where we land from there. Okay? So join me. So his muktak is a lot deeper than mine, but it is very conducive to a nice meditation. I really like it. Let me see if we can play one more from him. Let me just back up here. Oops. Sorry, folks. Back to here. And then I'll show you when we get his stuff. Okay. Here's the one we do in English, and I want to hear him do it if he keeps his beat. So we're going to do the Heart Sutra. We do this each week in our Zen class, Zen Sangha, and he does it here in English. He does have a Korean accent, of course, but he'll play his muktak. So let's do this one.
Maha Prajna Paramita Hridaya Avalokitesvara practicing deeply the prajna paramita, perceives that all five skandhas are empty, in this safe from all suffering, in this Shariputra, from the snati fall from emptiness, emptiness to snati fall from that which is form is emptiness, that which is emptiness, for the same is true of feelings, perceptions, impulses, consciousness. Shariputra, all dharmas are marked emptiness, they do not appear or disappear. Unattained you do not increase or decrease, therefore in emptiness, no form, no feelings, perceptions, impulses, consciousness, no eyes, no ears, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no color, no sound, no smell, no taste, no touch, no object of mind, no realm of eyes, and so forth, until all realm of mind consciousness, no ignorance, and also no extinction of it, and so forth, until old age and death, and also no extinction of them, no suffering, no origination, no stopping, no path, no cognition, also no attainment, with nothing to attain. The Bodhisattva depends on prajna paramita, and the mind is no hindrance. Without any hindrance, no field exists far apart from every perverted view, and dwells in nirvana. In the three worlds, all Buddhas depend on prajna paramita, and attain anuttara samyak sambodhi. Therefore know that prajna paramita is the great transcendent mantra, is the great prime mantra, is the onmost mantra, is the supreme mantra, which is able to relieve all suffering. And this Runa first so proclaimed the prajna paramita mantra, proclaim the mantra which says gate gate paragate parsamgate bodhisva, gate gate paragate parsamgate bodhisva, gate gate paragate parsamgate bodhisva.
So I enjoyed that. I hope you guys got some peaceful meditation from it. He has a great chanting voice. that deepness, and then that deep moktak to me is just excellent. So as I said, at the end of every um, meditation session I've done since I started doing this nightly, um, I have recited the bodhicitta prayer, and we'll do the same thing again tonight. But it is something I got to continue to think about. Um, Huangpo, in an absolute sense, he beats up on this. In a relative sense, he recognizes its importance. Um, as a practitioner of Zen, we're trying to understand and grasp the absolute. Um, so I'm aiming towards that, but for now, I'm still stuck in the relative. Um, so let's continue to do the bodhicitta prayer. The bodhicitta prayer. With a wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Enthused by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind for full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain and dispel the miseries of the world. So thank you guys for joining me. I really do appreciate it. I hope that you guys get something out of, if nothing else, seeing me meditate and having a daily practice, and maybe it encourages you to have a daily practice. That's really my only purpose here. Anybody wants to join at any time, they're welcome to sit in either on YouTube or on Facebook Live, or just see that I do it and you too can do it. Building a daily meditative practice is important to learning to control our minds. When we learn to control what comes in and goes out, we learn how to control how we deal with whatever comes in, then we control what goes out. So anyway, I wish you guys a good night, and I hope you'll join me again tomorrow night, and we'll continue our meditative practice. Good night, everyone.